Hello everyone and welcome back to Fun Food and Games. I'm your host and we're here today to go over Bogles. Pauper Bogles or Bogles, depending on who you are. If you ask the professor, he's going to say Bogles. I say Bogles. You can ogle the Bogle or you can ogle the Bogle. Either which way, it's up to you. So we're going to start the deck off going over our mana base. Then we're going to hit up our main board. Then we're going to hit up our sideboard. As always, if you enjoy the content, feel free to press that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. I appreciate it either which way. And now, on with the show. We're going to start with 4 Blossoming Sands. 4 Blossoming Sands is our common. Blossoming Sands is going to enter the battlefield tapped. When it does, we're going to gain 1 life. Helps out a little bit. We're just trying to fix our mana here. It's Pauper. When you play multicolors, you're going to have to deal with some of these lands. Next up, we have 1 copy of Sejiri Steppe. Let's see if we can get the focus in here. There we go. Sejiri Steppe enters the battlefield tapped, and when it does, a target creature you control gains protection of the color of your choice until end of turn. This a lot of times will help your creature get in for that last slap that you want to have, or maybe not the last slap, but even one of the good mediocre slaps. Either which way, having one of these is going to help you out. Also on to color fixing, we're going to have Selesnya Guildgate. Selesnya Guildgate is a land that's going to enter the battlefield tapped, and when it does, you're going to be able to add green or white to your mana pool. Focus. Focus. Yeah, sometimes it focuses, sometimes it doesn't. Next up, we're playing with 4 planes in our deck. Nothing special. Tap to add white mana to your mana pool. We're also running 5 copies of a forest in our deck. Ooh, 5 forest. Something about that. No, not really. It's just 5. All right. Now that we've finished covering our mana base, we're going to go ahead and move over to our main board. We're going to start covering our creatures. First up, we're running 4 Gladecover Scouts in the deck. For 1 green mana, you get a 1/1 hexproof. This and Bogles are the namesake of these decks. It's just your hexproof, and yeah, having these in your opening hand is one of the best things that you can have. Next up on the board, we're having 4 of the Slippery Bogles. Like it says, you can ogle the Bogle or you can goggle the Bogle. Either which way, doesn't matter. You weren't going to catch it anyway. But for a hybrid of a green-blue, you're able to get a 1/1 with hexproof. After the Bogle, we've got 4 copies of Silhana Ledgewalker. Silhana Ledgewalker is an elf rogue for a green and a white that can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. And Silhana Ledgewalker can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. It's hexproof in the long form. After that, we're also running 2 copies of Tethmos High Priest. Tethmos High Priest, for 2 colorless and a white, you get a cat cleric who's a 2/3. who has got heroic, and whenever you cast a spell that targets Tethmos High Priest, return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to your battlefield. So this guy is kind of like a Lurrus and Pauper, and since all your other little creatures are, 2 mana or less, having this guy on the battlefield doesn't hurt. Again, only running 2 of these, you're going to stay low to the ground. So that color covers all 14 of our creatures and 18 of our land. Now we're going to move on to 28 of our auras. And with those auras, 2 of them are going to be Catouche of Solidarity. For 1 white mana, you get an aura, and you can enchant a creature you control. And when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white warrior with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and first strike. So there's your token. Vigilance, 1/1 white. You gotta make sure if you're playing them, you're running them, make sure to have 1 of each. Next up, the overperformer of the deck, Ethereal Armor. For 1 white mana, you're getting an aura that enchants a creature, and an enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. This is the best aura in your deck. Don't run Bogles without this card. Next up, we're running 2 copies of Hyena Umbra. Hyena Umbra is for 1 white. You get an aura, and an enchant creature gets +1/+1, has first strike. It's also Totem Armor. Totem Armor is very important because if the enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. It's going to give your creature that little bit of extra protection. I recommend running at least 2 of these. I've also got 2 in the sideboard, and we'll get to that in a little bit. We're also running 2 copies of Rancor main board. Rancor is going to give you 1 green for an aura. An enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. And whenever Rancor is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return Rancor to the owner's hand. And here we go with the focusing again. Does it want to? It wants to. It wants to. It wants to. Somewhere. There we go. Okay. So we're also running 2 copies of Sentinel. Sentinel is also going to give us that recursion we need. It's an aura to enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, has vigilance, and it also has escape. For 1 white mana, you can exile 2 other cards from your graveyard. You can cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. They're going to kill your creatures quite a bit. Having this on the battlefield and in your graveyard to recur is quite helpful. It goes along very well with Rancor. So we're also running 2 copies of Spider Umbra. Spider Umbra, for 1 green, you're going to get an aura to enchant a creature. An enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has reach. It also has totem armor. And again, totem armor, if this creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura instead. So running 2 of these in the deck with the Hyena Umbra will protect your creatures nicely. All right. Now then, we've got Benevolent Blessing. It's a 1 white and a colorless for an aura. You have splash and enchant creature. And as Benevolent Blessing enters the battlefield, choose a color. Enchanted creature has protection from the chosen color. This effect doesn't remove auras and equipment you control that are already attached for it. Commander Legends, what did you do? You brought us one of the most overpowered cards that you could give us. And in the heroic deck, my goodness, this card has no equal. In the Bogles here, it's still an extremely strong card to protect and keep all of your auras onto your creature. Make sure to run 2 of these guys. All right, we're also running 2 copies of Setessan Training. Setessan Training, for 1 green and a colorless, you get an aura. And enchant creature enter, and whenever Setessan Training enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has trample. It's not bad. It replaces itself in your hand when you play it, which is always nice to try to get the next card advantage going. 1 more aura to put onto your creatures. So running 2 of these and getting the trample, it's not a bad card to have. Easy one to side out too. A little more evasion, we're running 4 Angelic Gift. Angelic Gift is an aura for 1 white and a colorless. You get to enchant a creature, and when Angelic Gift enters the battlefield, you draw a card, and enchanted creature has flying. Again, it's going to give your creatures the evasion, and it also replaces yourself with it being cast. So Angelic Gift is another one of those cards that have 4 of them in the deck. Now to the 3-cost auras, we have Ancestral Mask. We're running 2 of them in the deck. For 2 colorless and a green, you get to enchant creature, and enchant creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment in play. Now, if you have no other enchantments on your board and you play this, it doesn't do you anything. This only helps if there are other enchantments in play. The good part is it can be on your opponent's side of the battlefield too. It doesn't count just enchantments on the other side. It counts all enchantments. And if this would ever focus up a little bit better, we'd be able to see that. But either which way, 2 of those in the deck. And to finish the deck off, we're running 4 Armadillo Cloak. Armadillo Cloak, for 1 white, a green, and a colorless, you get to enchant creature, and enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has trample. And whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life. So Armadillo Cloak, not really giving you lifelink, which is important. You'll see why in the sideboard, but will allow you to gain that much life, and giving your creatures trample will help out. All right, on to the sideboard. We're going to start with 4 copies of Fragmentize. Fragmentize is for 1 white. You're going to get a sorcery to destroy target artifact or enchantment with converted mana cost 4 or less. Usually, Pestilence is our biggest enemy. Fragmentize, as soon as Pestilence hits the board, we're taking it out. So yeah, make sure to have 4 Fragmentize in your deck. It's one that you must have to go up against Pestilence. Next up, we have 3 copies of Take Vengeance. Take Vengeance is for 1 white and a colorless. You'll get a sorcery to destroy a target tap creature. So when your opponents are playing that Gurmag Angler and they swing in for you, you'll take 1, but that's the only one you'll take, hopefully. And then you'll be able to just win on the crackback, and not only that, get rid of the Gurmag Angler. Alright, now remember we were talking about how Armadillo Cloak doesn't grant you lifelink, but you gain damage, or gain life equals to the damage. So lifelink for 1 white gives you an aura that enchanted creature has a lifelink, which is important. So if you have Armadillo Cloak on and you have lifelink on, you're going to gain twice as much life whenever they swing in and hit. So 2 of those in the sideboard helps out, especially against mono red and the other really fast, heavy aggro decks. We're also running another 2 copies of Hyena Umbra in the sideboard here. Hyena Umbra is for 1 white. You get an aura for enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has first strike. It's also given Totem Armor. And as we discussed, Totem Armor, if a creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura instead. Having 2 of those in the sideboard to help out with really heavy removal decks is good to have. We're also running 2 copies of Serene Heart. If we're running against the Mirror or anybody else that likes to play a lot of enchantments, just having 2 Serene Hearts to take everything else out and just keep your cards waiting to go off, Serene Heart will help you out. And to finish off the sideboard, 2 Weather the Storm. For 1 green and a colorless, you have an instant that will allow you to gain 3 life and Storm. And Storm is whenever you cast a spell, copy it for each spell cast before this turn. Again, if you're playing mono red, you're playing elves, anything like that, where people are just putting everything on the board, Weather the Storm will help you weather the storm. Well, that concludes our deck tech today for Pauper Bogles. Next time we'll be in, and we'll probably be going back over to the modern side. Hopefully I'll start bringing you some food and other game content. Look forward to that. Like I said, we're just getting started. We're in the infancy of this channel. And as always, if you enjoy anything that you found here, like, subscribe, leave a comment. If there's anything you'd change in the deck, stuff that you see that I didn't see, there's newer cards coming out all the time. I really started bringing out these Pauper decks because I didn't see anybody else really out there bringing deck techs to the latest Pauper decks that are out there. So that's why I wanted to make sure to share some of these. As always, I hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.